Is this the first time you'll be doing an interview with the Codec, rookie?
Careful, I'm no rookie. Don't worry, I'm disguised in this enemy uniform.
You won't be for long with the way you walk.
Ooh, what does that mean?
Oh, nothing.
I want a real wedding with flowers and a cake. It's been my dream since I was a little girl. Wait, what's wrong, Snake? Snake? Snake!
What is up, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome back to episode 12 of the Codec interview with Debi Mae West. Thank you so much for joining us. How are you doing today, Debbie?
I'm so good. I'm so happy to be here with you guys. Thanks for having me.
No problem. Joined, as always, by Corrupt Ronin.
What is up, ladies and gentlemen? Thank you all for coming today, and I also want to thank Debbie for joining us as well on behalf of the Corrupt Assassins. So thank you for that. I'm really excited about this. It's going to be a great show today.
And starting off our line of questioning today is Yong. Yeah, everybody.
And what's up, everybody? It's Yong here, and welcome to our interview with Debi Mae West. I've got to say, first of all, that you look just like Meryl right now, so I'm having kind of a euphoric moment here. Yeah, you look just like her, so this is very appropriate. And thank you so much for joining us. It's awesome to talk to you. Meryl is an awesome character, and it's kind of really cool to talk to her, to the character finally.
Thank you so much, you guys.
Yeah, absolutely. So I would like to begin by asking you to, if you could just tell us a bit about yourself. Who is Debi Mae West, and how did you become a voice actor, and how did you end up playing the role of Meryl?
Well, I'm from Los Angeles, and I got my start in voiceovers almost 20 years ago, and it really was not my goal in life. I wanted to be a rock star. I went to music school, and I'm also a singer, but I just got really super lucky. A friend of mine did voiceovers, and for a long time she deterred me from it, said it was too hard to get into, and then one day, I guess Demi Moore was breaking into it, and another woman had done a lot of voiceovers, and she said, you should try now. And I don't know, I just got super lucky. My first big job was actually playing Lucky on 101 Dalmatians cartoon series. Right. So Pamela Siegel, who's the voice of Bobby on King of the Hill, used to come and hear a band of mine, and I actually ended up doing her voice because she had a baby and left the show. Oh. So it was a crazy start. I was absolutely not ready for that, and I had not really believed. I was in disbelief as the whole thing was happening. I would go home crying from sessions because I just didn't think I was ready to play with those big players. But it was amazing, and I never looked back. And I've had an incredible career. And I live in Venice, California, near the beach, and
nice.
I have a pretty wonderful life. And I just besides voiceovers, I just try to make the world a good place. I try to have a lot of friends and do good things for the planet. I just started surfing, so I'm like totally into surfing right now.
No, that's totally fine.
Yeah, that's great.
Awesome.
And how did you land the role of Meryl? What events led up to that?
Basically, it's always an audition, and
Right.
Chris Zimmerman, who's one of the most amazing directors. Every time I've ever been interviewed about Meryl, I can't say enough about her. Mm-hmm. She auditioned me, and it was a long time ago. I think over 15 years ago now we did the first one, and I just, I think they liked my little scratchy, sexy voice, and I was really lucky. I mean, we did it but before it was on all platforms. We had to record it twice. A few years later, we re-recorded everything. But I just basically auditioned as any voiceover actor does and has to on a daily basis.
Yeah. I see. Well, we're very glad you got the role because you
Me too.
did an awesome job. All right. Well, thank you for answering that question.
Awesome. Ronin's actually got our next question. So Ronin, let's get into it, man.
Absolutely. So one of the things that I like to do during these interviews is to get the actors or actresses' general opinion about the character that they play, for the reason why they reprise those roles over and over again in future games, considering you were in the first Metal Gear Solid and the Metal Gear Solid 4. So can you tell us what it is about Meryl for the reason why you continue to come back to do her role again in future entries in the series?
Sure. I was really shocked. I think Metal Gear, the original, received many accolades. We did some things in video games that had never started before. I never have been and still not a gamer. So I was really shocked and surprised and very happy to have been part of such a historical moment in gaming history. And I know that Metal Gear has become a huge franchise. And, to be honest, David Hayter is one of the coolest people I've ever met. And in animation and in games, you don't always get to work with other actors, or at least I don't. So, but they had David and I always work together. I mean, as often as we could. So we actually got to act with each other.
That's awesome.
When I had the opportunity to go back, I mean, first of all, it's a job, so no one's going to say no to.
Of course. Of course.
But I was very, very proud to come back and reprise the role of Meryl. I was able to meet a lot of people over the years who I know are big fans, and when I meet people who are gamers and over a dinner conversation, I'll just mention, because I think it's probably the most famous game I've ever done, besides God of War. But I was so thrilled. I wish that they'd bring me back for more of the games. I actually, I thought that Meryl would lead to a lot more work, because it seems like she is quite a famous, character in games. But yeah, I was more than happy. And if they asked me again, I would certainly come back.
Awesome.
That's awesome. Well, we were definitely happy to see you come back in Metal Gear Solid 4. I know I was personally, so thank you for that. Thank you for that answer, by the way.
Absolutely.
You said you worked alongside David Hayter. Was that for all of the Metal Gears? There was 1, there was Twin Snakes, and there was 4. They always kept you guys in the same room as much as possible?
Yeah, and it's just it's so amazing to work with him, and he's just because when we first did Metal Gear, his writing career hadn't taken off, and the X-Men and the Hulk and all that stuff, and so I got to watch him as an actor friend. I got to watch his career blow up, and he's a real supportive guy, and things took off for him. I'm shocked that he's been replaced. I know we're going to get to that later, but again, it was so thrilling, and we worked for hours and hours and hours on both games, and Chris Zimmerman put us together as much as possible, and it just made it so much more fun, because you don't get to study these lines as a voice actor. You basically you're thrown the copy right before. So I don't know what's going on. And when you don't have another actor to work off of, you're basically just, you're making it up. And Chris is great at directing and role playing, but there's nothing like being in a studio with a headset on and hanging out with David Hayter. It's just like a dream job. And I nothing has ever happened like it again or since.
Oh wow,
that's amazing.
That's
awesome to hear.
To David Hayter, you will be very flattered.
We actually we ran into each other on Twitter a couple of years ago. I was like a Twitter hater, and I thought it was the dumbest thing, and I was like, why do I have to Twitter? And I was sitting at a bar that my ex-boyfriend was working at, and I just was kind of playing around, and I saw David Hayter, and so I said, hey David, what's up? And he basically was like, hey everyone, Meryl's here. And my phone started blowing up, and I had like 2,000 followers. I was like, oh my God. And it actually led to getting to go to San Francisco and being interviewed about Metal Gear, and like some fans finding me that didn't know where I was, I guess. Maybe even led to you guys finding me. I don't know, but I don't know where that came from, but that was here I am. Next question.
That's very cool.
My next question for you, before we really dive into all the Metal Gear questions, I've got a question for you about your general work. You do a lot of cartoons and anime stuff as well. Do you have a preference on what you like to do more, whether it's anime, animated stuff, or games? And then, additionally to that, what got you into that kind of work? Because to me, it seems a little different and separated from maybe games.
Well, to be perfectly honest with you guys, my career is mostly commercials and promos now. I haven't done a game in a couple years. I think the last game I did was God of War. And I'm still working on Naruto. I've been on Naruto for 9 years as Lady Tsunade. And that is really fun work, but it's hard because you're actually revoicing the Japanese. So my job is listening to, the Japanese Tsunade, and then being directed by the director and, trying not to copy her, but use her influence and then match the flaps. And so it's a totally different job. It's not like I'm creating the character. She's created Tsunade, and I'm basically trying to keep her alive as an American version. Right. Now that said, I love that character. Tsunade and Meryl are like the same person to me.
Yes,
both
they are.
Tsunade fights in high heel shoes with a bindi on her forehead. Like, she's just so cool, and I relate to both of them very much. So, back to your question. So I did a lot of animation earlier in my career. So I played Cat on Max Steel. I was on 101 Dalmatians. And then I had a lot of incidental roles, and then I moved to New York, and I don't know, my animation career kind of fell apart, and I got into promos. So I'm mostly heard now on television doing commercials and promos, and I do audition quite a bit for animation, but animation is difficult because if you're not in the game, there are people who just get hired, and I think producers like to use the same people over and over. So I'm not really used as much in that genre. So, but I would say I like animation a little bit better than anime insofar as you get to really create the voice. You're not watching a pre-made character.
Right.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for that.
If anyone wants to hire me for some animation,
right here, folks.
There you go.
You'd be surprised.
Totally available.
The days of Kickstarters and crowdfunding, it's actually definitely a big possibility moving forward. But Yong, your next question for Debbie?
Yeah. So back to Meryl. Based on your experience of playing the character, how would you, in your own words, describe the character, and what are some things that you had to keep in mind to get into this character?
Well, Meryl is just, she is incredibly confident. She's a super badass, and, and I mean, I'm a pretty confident person, and I'm a strong woman, but I also got to do a lot of vulnerable acting, especially in the first one. There were tears, and I think, and I don't know now because I don't play video games, like if that's followed suit, and there's a lot of drama in them, but I know that we were the most dramatic at that time video game, and there was a scene I remember being in a bathroom, and I'm looking in the mirror, and so I got to bring elements of myself because yes, I'm a strong woman, but I'm also like, I'm a sucker for like love and for, heartfelt stuff. And I'm a crybaby. I cry at commercials and cartoons. And, so Meryl is just, I mean, I really think that I landed the role of Meryl because it was kind of a no-brainer. I mean, I am her. And, like you said, Yong, I look like her. And I do. And I don't know. I think somehow the creator must have seen me and heard me and just was like, that's her. And I think we're twin souls. So
that's awesome. And going off on that, ooh, I'm getting echo.
Yeah, feedback there.
Is there feedback?
Yeah. Are you on? Do you have your thing on speakers?
I haven't changed anything.
That's weird. It kind of went away.
Okay,
we're good now.
Testing. Yeah, okay, we're good.
Awesome.
Okay. So going off on that, was playing Meryl any different in MGS4 from MGS1? Did you feel like there were certain developments? Yeah. Can you tell us a bit about what those were?
Well, I was a lot younger, and so, and Meryl was a rookie at that point, in the first one, and she's just trying to prove herself and, you know, like wanting Snake to bring her along with him. And, you know, and then we ride off in the sunset at the end of the game.
Yes.
So in MGS4, it, you know, it was bizarre because the whole marriage thing, like I didn't know I was getting married until we'd already worked, you know, on the game. I know we're going to talk about that too, but, you know, so I was watching Johnny just through the words, you know, as this like bumbling, farting guy.
Right.
And, you know, and then working with Snake as an older guy, you know, and working with David and then Bang, of course, who plays Johnny, who's also amazing and adorable. So I don't know, it was different because a lot of time had gone by, and I think as an actor, I you know, I was a different person because so many years had gone by, and I was really wanting to impress everybody. You know, I wanted to do a good job, and you know, and working with Chris again, I wanted her to be happy with my work. So I think there was a lot more, I don't know, maybe some more nerves involved because, you know, so many years had gone by, and I just wanted to make sure that I still was Meryl as an actor.
I see. Fair enough. Thank you.
Is that what you asked?
Oh, yeah, that's a good answer. Yeah, thank you.
Perfect. Well, thank you.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Ronan, your next question for Debbie?
Yeah, so I know you kind of talked a little bit about the way the success of Metal Gear has kind of affected you, but, you know, in what ways did the success of this franchise affect the way that you approach voice acting in general?
Well, I did win a Spike Video Game Award for Best Female Human for Meryl years ago.
That's great.
And so that was really cool that I got to go to the video awards, and I actually won an award, and then I've seen, you know, I try not to watch a lot of news, and I don't really follow a lot of voiceover stuff because I like to keep my private life very separate, and I just like to really enjoy my life. Like I said, I started surfing, and I'm an obsessed surfer now, but you know, so I can you rephrase your question again? I totally went on a tangent.
No, that's okay. It's totally fine.
So it's at once been like, it hasn't really gotten me a lot more jobs. I think, which I find odd, like, because I know a lot of people who write games are fans, and so I would imagine that there'd be more opportunities. But again, like I said, I'm sort of in another field of voiceover, so you know, I don't go to the cons, and I don't go and sign autographs and stuff like that. I think if I did more of that, it would probably, I think Meryl would have led to a lot more video gaming. But I'm also shy of, you know, violence and stuff like that. I have to be honest. So I have a tender little vocal box, and so a lot of screaming gets in the way of some of my other jobs. So anyway, it hasn't really led me anywhere. I love that I have fans. I like that people tweet me, you know, in the virtual world. But you know, I've had a wonderful career. I mean, I definitely have a great living in voiceover, and it's all over the place. You know, some people only do video games. I do everything. Narration. My friend just wrote a book. I did a movie trailer for a book that she just wrote. You know, I do movie trailers. I do promos. I get to do everything, and I don't know how much Meryl had to do with that. I just think that.
Oh, that's okay. Yeah, it's totally fine. But thank you.
Sure.
All right. Yong, your next question.
That was a weird answer. Sorry. I thought all of a sudden it was in my head. Like, what am I talking about?
No, it's totally. You have a fantastic answer. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
All right. So for my next question, we're going to dive into the whole Johnny versus Snake thing. So this is a very divisive element, you know. Her impromptu choice to just marry Johnny just out of nowhere towards the end of MGS4. A lot of people just didn't see it coming. And this is something that I personally also wasn't particularly happy with, and not because she doesn't end up with Snake, and you know, it's not Twilight, you know, it's Metal Gear, right? But at the same time, I felt that maybe there wasn't enough development between Johnny and Meryl to maybe warrant such a sudden impromptu marriage proposal. So I've got to ask, just what are your thoughts personally on Meryl marrying Johnny? Do you agree or disagree with the writers on this? And why do you think?
Bizarre. Honestly, I mean, I had to go with it, and of course, I have my own views on marriage in the real world. I'm actually an ordained minister of my own little church, so I marry people, but I've never been married. So it was like I got to have a wedding. It was really funny. But I did think it was out of left field, and because, we're making fun of Johnny through the whole game, and I thought it was very Japanese. I mean, the farting jokes, and I love a good fart joke myself, and so I was having lots of fun with that. But the fact that all of a sudden there we were getting married was I thought was bizarre, and I wasn't certain how the players would take to it, and obviously you didn't really think it was a great idea, but I think Japanese humor is so completely different from American humor. Yeah. So I just think that they were just being funny in, with themselves. Like they were just trying to be funny.
Like an inside joke.
I guess, super inside.
Yeah.
And I didn't get it, but again, it's like there's nothing I can say. It's my job. I'm just gonna say the words.
Yeah.
When you got that I guess that part of the script and you were reading it, did you instinctively know who Johnny was, or did they have to explain to you it was the guy from Metal Gear 1 that you knocked out?
Yeah, I didn't know. I didn't remember.
Like, who's Johnny?
I didn't remember who he was, and I don't know if Bang Spees is the voice of Johnny, and I don't know if we actually worked together on the first one, but we were in the studio together. On Metal Gear 4.
I think in the first one he only had like 2 lines.
I don't even know if we knew each other at that point. I had met him and his brother. We were at the same agency. So I don't even know if I knew that he was in the first one. But that's the thing. You get in the studio and basically you've got the hours and hours of gameplay and script, and then the director has to kind of like catch you up. It's almost like in Naruto, it's the same thing. Like my character doesn't show up so much anymore as she used to, and so they got to catch me up with everything that's happening. And it's like, okay, now this is going on, and especially because I'm not a gamer, it's like I just have to plant my feet and go, okay, I'm just gonna do this as best that I can and pretend I know what the hell is going on here, and hopefully. Hopefully do a good job.
Do you think, do you know a particular reason for why Meryl as a character chose to marry him? And do you think they had a happy marriage in the end?
Oh, did they have a happy marriage? Gosh, I don't know. I haven't really thought about that. I'm going to say yes. Of course they had a happy marriage, y'all.
Okay, that's good. Good.
Again, I thought it was out of left field. So
definitely.
I got you.
Yeah. It was for sure.
Yeah, nobody really understands what happened there, but
Do people talk about that? Like,
yes,
they still do.
Yeah. Oh, really?
I mean, some people are like, "Hey, guys,
bring Meryl and Johnny back and like figure it out." What? Yeah. I don't even know what game's being made now. Are they doing a new one?
They're doing a 5th game, but in terms of Johnny and Meryl, I don't think. There would be, because they're going back in timeline. They're going back in history and telling what happened before Metal Gear Solid 1. So by that time, they would be kids. Yeah. So I don't think they.
Interesting.
So that's what they're doing. But yeah, it was very bizarre, and a lot of people. It's divisive. Some people, say it's okay. We thought it was fine. Others are like, I don't know. Maybe I think she should have ended up with Snake. Obviously, that's the obvious thing.
Yeah.
Right, and others have more complex reasons, but I think it's bizarre for all of us.
Regardless of the choice, the scene that you guys played out, I don't know if you've actually seen the actual video from
the wedding?
The marriage
before
proposal.
the wedding.
Yeah, where they're shooting everybody and the proposal is happening at the same time.
You definitely should see it.
Can I see it on YouTube?
Yeah.
Yes, you can. We'll definitely send it over to you.
Will you? That'd be great. Yeah. So is it Johnny proposes to Meryl?
In the middle of a firefight.
Yeah.
Oh.
It's crazy. So, but before we get sidetracked, I know we don't have a ton of time. So, Ronin, I want to get your next question in here.
All right, so this kind of goes into a little bit of your work outside of Metal Gear, obviously. I wanted to ask you about your voice as Lady Tsunade in Naruto, for example. Now, Naruto is a very long-running series. Obviously, they made a lot of movies, games, the list goes on. So my question to you is, are you in it for the long haul up until the end?
You mean with Tsunade?
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know where the story is going, but I've been voicing Tsunade for 9 years.
Oh, wow.
So yeah, it's been a very, I think it's the longest running cartoon and, one of the most popular cartoons in Japan.
Right.
So, I have no idea where it's going. So how long she's going to be in the show, I have no idea, but I mean, I love her so much. So it's funny because I have to drive over an hour to voice Lady Tsunade. I have a home studio,
wow.
so pretty much 90% of my jobs I do at home.
Right.
Because in the world of promo and movie trailer, you basically just have to be at a home studio. And, I have agents in New York and a manager in New York and agents here. And they're like, can you do this in 15 minutes? And then, whereas Naruto is, I've got to drive and I've got to drive through traffic and, it's a little harder, but I love her so much. Like, I hope the show goes on and because she's a really fun character. And the nice thing is that I've really been able to develop her. With Meryl, there was so much time in between and it's, so much story goes on. I have no idea what's going on. So I just pop in and hope that my acting is good and that my voice still sounds good. But with Tsunade, I've been able to develop her through, again, the Japanese version. But, again, there are parallels between Lady Tsunade and me and Meryl and me as a woman. And so I absolutely adore being able to, I'm very proud of her.
It all flows.
Meryl
and Tsunade and yourself, it all just kind of flows.
Yeah.
It's true. I've been really lucky. I'm an animal rights person and I'm a vegetarian and I try to do good things in the world. I do fundraising for environmental organizations and stuff like that. So I have been very lucky in my voiceover career that some of the things that I book, I don't hate so much because, there's a lot of advertising out there for stuff that I just don't believe in. And sometimes when I don't book a job, I think maybe I'm just being saved by the universe and not having to sell something that I absolutely don't believe in. And sometimes I give the money away to charities if it's for something that I don't really care for.
That's really awesome.
That's amazing.
Yeah, thank you for that.
Again, I'd like to break the chain real quick and dive into a couple of other. You do some voice work for a very, very popular game called World of Warcraft. It seems like you've done some of their older titles. You were in their newer massively multiplayer.
When was the last time I was on World of Warcraft? Because I can't remember.
Played Maev Shadow Song in the Burning Crusade. She's the boss of the Black Temple. It's my nerd side coming out. I don't play the game very much anymore, but when I did, this was one of my favorite characters because I was like, I know that voice. Where have I heard that from?
Oh, really?
Yes, I was like, and none of my friends really picked that up. So my question to you is, how is doing voices for other franchises different from doing Metal Gear? You spoke about Metal Gear being a lot more, emotional and in depth, more kind of movie-like. When you go and do these other roles who don't necessarily have the same kind of backdrop or story like Metal Gear, does he ever find that difficult to put into the booth for a character that you might not be so familiar with?
Well, here's the thing: when you have good direction, and for the World of Warcraft games, I mean, again, it's years now since I worked on that. And I remember the guy, I can't even remember his name, who directed me, but he was so into it and he was such a good director. And I think, honestly, my voice lends itself to badass women.
Yeah.
I mean, let's be straight. I have like a super scratchy, husky, sexy voice. So most of the characters I get picked for, are like shadow people or like scary, witchy kind of, or just like motherfucking badass bitches. So like Meryl and Lady Tsunade. So I know that Maev was also a badass, and
yes.
So, it's like I think what ends up happening is that the words themselves, like the song, if you will, because I look at doing voiceover as like singing a song. So when I'm singing the song of a character, it's, I'm usually chosen for those very similar roles. So again, it's like I just get to go kind of inside myself and find the parts of myself that are strong and are have a lot of confidence,
Right.
and and then get to play around in my head as well. So it's not that crazy different. There are a lot of people who I take my hat off to, voice actors who have like a million voices. Tara Strong, she's got this crystal clear voice that can basically do anything. She can't do what I do, but like she's got a myriad. I mean, we worked on 101 Dalmatians together years ago, and she was very young, and I was just like, holy shit. Like I was freaking out watching this young girl. And and then subsequently she became one of the biggest voiceover stars in history,
We're trying to get her on our show, actually.
Oh, really? Oh, she'll probably do it. I haven't seen her in a very long time. So, I think, what'd you say?
She does Bubbles from the Powerpuff Girls.
Yes, she is Bubbles from the Powerpuff Girls. But I mean, she's hundreds of voices. Like that's her career. She's an animation star. So, for me, it's like, it's not that big of a stretch when I do these characters because, I'm kind of like, I have a wheelhouse, and it's a strong one, but it is my wheelhouse, and it's like I'm chosen for those kind of roles. So, it's not that hard for me to be a badass. So it doesn't matter whether it's this girl or that girl. Like,
That's awesome.
Well,
did that answer your question?
Yes, ma'am. It definitely does. Thank you so much. Yong.
Yep. So this is something that a lot of people requested that I ask. Do you know the identity of the elusive Suzetta Minet? It is something...
I have no idea who that is,
Really?
and I've heard over and over that people have thought it was me.
Yeah.
Yes.
And I wish you had a recording of her. Do you guys have anything?
There's like a bunch of videos on YouTube. We can send you one
there's a lot
after.
of videos.
Yeah.
Because I've been accused of it before, and I'm absolutely not her, so I don't know who
She does
it is.
sound a lot like you.
Does she?
Yes.
Like even now?
Yeah. When the interview is over, before you leave, I'll play you a little clip before you leave.
That'd be great, because maybe I can tell you. Maybe I can hear her voice and out her.
I'll just tell everybody real quick. We asked Otacon. I don't know if you remember Otacon from the first game. Christopher Randolph is his.
I don't know him actually. We've never met.
Oh, really? The scientist.
Wow.
I mean, I know who Otacon was in the game, but I don't think
Otacan, as Meryl would say.
Right, Otacan. I don't know if we've ever. Maybe I've met him. Is he a black guy?
No, that's I think it's Phil. Phil Lamar.
Yeah, Phil Lamar. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I don't know Christopher.
Okay.
So we asked Christopher who Debi Mae if he had any idea if Debi Mae West was Eva, or if he could find out some information for us, and he said apparently it's still under NDA, and he said he has a very reliable source, who I'm assuming is David Hayter, and apparently they still cannot talk about it.
Oh, interesting.
So I would love for you to see if maybe you can pick it out.
Well, I'll see if I can, and then maybe I have an NDA as well.
So, Ronin,
I might just get excited and say, "Guess what? I know, and I'm not telling you."
Oh no!
I don't know. I don't want to get in trouble.
It'll be offline. We'll definitely be offline. We wouldn't want to get you in trouble. So, Ronin, your next question for you.
All right, so I think you kind of touched on this a bit earlier in the interview, but you've been on both ends of the spectrum when it comes to voicing games in the Eastern and Western demographic. So, are there any unique differences that you say you've encountered while voicing both Eastern games like Metal Gear Solid, for example, and Western such as God of War?
I think it's like I said, the Japanese sense of humor is so different. Mm-hmm. I don't think God of War had a sense of humor, did it? Was I funny?
Not very. It was mostly violent. Yeah.
I mean, it was mostly just about the hardcore violence for the most part. There wasn't a lot of particular humor to say.
With David Hayter, I think I was actually looking through right before we got on the call. I went on IMDb and I saw some of the lines, and I think the Japanese, they do try to find some humor. I mean, Naruto has some out there humor.
Yeah.
And
Yes,
I
it
can only
does.
just say that it's very Japanese. So yeah, it's different. Now, that's not to say that if I had booked something that was more of a Western bent that was supposed to be funny, I like Western sense of humor, but I would,
Right.
in the games that I've done and the
Right.
shows that I've done, the Japanese really try to find something funny. Now, I don't always find it funny. It's it's like bizarre to me,
Yeah.
but it's funny to them.
Yeah,
It is.
absolutely.
Is it funny to you?
Yeah.
Most of the time it is. Yeah, absolutely.
I think it's more funny like a shock value, like
Right.
in
I think
Yeah,
you go
yeah.
for, like shock value.
in the newer game, the new Metal Gear, you have a horse that you can cause to poop.
I do.
Yes.
No, just like the player has
player
has a
has-
controllable. Yeah, and you can
Yeah, we
control.
love poop and farting.
Yeah, you can command your horse to poop.
It's weird.
It's
So
consequence.
Is farting naked in the game? Because I just remember the farting over and over.
Yeah, no,
Whatever.
that's what we all remember. Trust me.
Yeah.
We can't get that out of our brain.
Yeah.
That's why I was like, why am I marrying him?
Yong, your next question for Debbie.
Yeah.
We're getting towards the bottom of the list here. So
Yep.
we're almost
All right.
there.
So, how versed or familiar are you with the Metal Gear lore? I know you said you're not much of a gamer, and so you haven't seen any of the games on YouTube or anything of
I
like.
mean, I over the years when stuff got published on YouTube, I definitely watched some of it, because I wanted to try to maybe collect some of it and put it on my website, which I still haven't done and I need to.
Yes, you do.
But I could not tell you. I've never played a video game ever.
Wow. I see.
My nephews played Metal Gear.
Oh, cool.
I gave them all the game, like, because they would give me the games, and I gave them away. So it's here's the thing in voiceover, and I will go on an audition, let's say, and I'll have told a friend, "Hey, I'm going on an audition today," and later on they'll be like, "How was your audition?" And I'm like, "God, what did I audition for?" Because I don't remember. Because the thing is, you get the copy like now.
Mhm.
You walk into a booth, they hand you the copy, you read for it, and then you walk out. And over the years, I've read I've voiced hundreds of commercials, like thousands. I mean, I've done a lot of commercials.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I've done probably 50 games. And not to brag, I'm just explaining
Yeah,
the
of
point
course.
that, like, I don't remember, so
Brag
I
away.
cannot tell you what happened in Metal Gear
I
Solid.
gotcha. Fair enough. Now, there are a lot of actors who are very
You
similar.
can tell me.
I mean, a lot of actors, it's very similar. They do their work, and that's that for them, and
Yeah.
they're totally cool with that. So yeah, all right. Ronin,
Thank you
go
so
ahead.
much. Yeah,
or
Ronin.
unless Daley, yeah.
No, it's Ronin.
Yeah, Daley, you have a question? Oh,
No,
okay.
go right ahead, man.
All right. So, with your work in video games and animation combined and your experience with those,
Yep.
which between all of that would you say you've had the most fun doing and why?
Between all of it, commercial, like all
Yeah,
of
commercial,
the
animation,
video.
yeah, all that stuff together, basically.
Can you tell us the commercial you've been in
Sure.
that we
And,
might recognize?
I
Yeah.
mean, do any of you guys have Fred Meyer where you live?
Yes.
I'm the voice of Fred Meyer for.
Oh, really?
Oh,
Huh.
wow.
What's on your list today?
That now I hear it. That's great.
Yeah, so I
That's
do
great.
Fred Meyer, and then they have
Oh, wow.
stores all over the country that Kroger owns.
Oh, yeah.
And then anybody have Mattress Firm?
Yes.
Oh, that's me,
Oh, cool.
Mattress Firm.
She's matches.
And in fact, I'm going to do that right now.
Wow.
After
I
we
see.
get off the phone. And what else? What other commercials am I on right now? I do a lot of promos. So like Investigation Discovery. I do all those
Very cool.
lovely a lot of those killing shows, women who kill and stuff like that. I was the voice of Discovery Fit and Health for years and years and years. And Anthony Bourdain, No Reservations. So those a lot of
Wow.
promos, a lot of Nickelodeon stuff.
Oh, cool.
Very cool.
But, so now my favorite,
Mm-hmm.
for some reason, playing Cat comes to me as one of my favorite times. That cartoon, I love Tsunade. Tsunade, I love the most because she has such a range. I mean, she lost her brother, she lost her boyfriend. There are times when I'm literally like bawling my head off in the recording studio because I have to cry as the character.
Yeah.
And that is just super rare in cartoons.
Yeah.
But I love that I get to actually act and play a range. I like doing promos because they're fast and furious, and I have to be like super on point and be able to shave off 0.1 seconds. Like I'm a little bit of a savant. I have this weird little timer in my head, and I like when I turn engineers on because they'll say, "Oh, you need to be 0.4 seconds faster," and then I'll nail it.
Nice.
It's weird things like that you don't know where it comes from. I certainly don't know why I have that skill, but to be perfectly honest, voiceovers is the coolest job on planet Earth, and I think that's why so many celebrities are now doing all the cartoons and taking all the jobs, because it's a fantastic way to make a living. It's a fun way to make a living. You're anonymous. I mean, here I am right now, but I don't walk down the street and get harassed. Unless I tell someone, "Hey, I'm Debi Mae West and I play Meryl," like no one's going to know that they're standing with someone that I'm a fan of. So, I get to have a life. I get to go up in my studio and do a job, whether it's a cartoon or a game or a promo or a commercial. It's like singing a song to me, and it's like, like I said, I wanted to be a rock star, so I'm a rock star in a different way because I get to use my voice to make stuff.
Cool. Absolutely.
That's amazing.
That is a fantastic answer. Thank you for that.
Sure.
Now, I know we're getting close to the end here, so Yong, your next question.
All right, so for this one, maybe you've already answered this since you said you're not too sure if you don't know about fifth Metal Gear Solid game. We're gonna ask you if you're involved in any way, shape, or form with Metal Gear Solid.
They haven't asked me, so you guys can tweet Konami or whatever.
Bring Meryl back. Bring Meryl.
Yeah, bring Meryl back.
I don't know if we have enough time. It comes out in 30 days.
Oh yeah,
no, it's very soon.
Sure. I gotta say, I'm amazed because I think Meryl is like a very loved character in the world out there, and I think that the fans would be happy to have her back. So if they do another one, I wouldn't be shocked. If they ask me, and I'm mostly surprised that they haven't brought me back.
I think everybody was surprised.
I thought we were going to talk about Kiefer Sutherland. What happened to that question?
Yeah, no, it's coming up. Let's talk about that.
Yeah, I just want to get it out now.
So what are your thoughts on the decision to... There we go.
All right.
But he is not Snake. I mean, David Hayter is Snake, the only one, the one and only David Hayter. I know for a fact that they tried to match David Hayter's voice for the second game, and a lot of people auditioned and they could not nail it. I don't know how Kiefer Sutherland sounds. Does he sound like him? Is he trying to sound like him? Did they just change him up?
It sounds like Kiefer Sutherland, it sounds like Jack Bauer or what have you.
I do not understand. In a million years, I don't know. I don't know if they thought they were going to make more money because of Kiefer Sutherland. I didn't mean to scream in your ear, by the way. So
That's fine.
Oh, that's totally fine.
I don't realize how loud I am over here. Honestly, I thought, because I've heard about it, I think David and I were tweeting about it. And in fact, there was a guy who wanted to get the Metal Gear gang and take us to a con somewhere to sign autographs. I don't even know what happened with that, but so I hooked up David Hayter with this guy that had been looking for him, and we talked about it. And I know every single fan I've ever talked to was really upset. So I don't know. I don't know if it hurt the game or helped the game or but personally, I don't get it.
I mean, there are a couple of reasons that, they claim, one of them being that they wanted maybe a more seasoned actor who could, because they're doing facial and body capture now, and they said maybe they wanted someone who could do the facial animation as well, and they also said that...
Look at my face.
Yeah, there we go. And there's also stuff about the story where Kiefer's playing Big Boss, who is... the father of Solid Snake, and their clone. Solid Snake is a clone of Big Boss, and David Hayter actually played younger versions of Big Boss, and maybe one of the reasons has to do with Big Boss getting older or something like that. So Solid Snake, it's still David Hayter, but Big Boss, he was played by Richard Doyle, I believe, in MGS4, and now he's being played by Kiefer Sutherland. Because Solid Snake and Big Boss meet in MGS4, and it's this whole complex thing, and a lot of people are trying to figure this out. But the main reason that was given was that Kiefer is a more seasoned actor who can do the facial stuff. I don't know if whether that's true or not. If that's actually the reason, that's just what they said. So.
And like I said, I'm a fan of Kiefer Sutherland. I would have loved to have gotten to work with him if they put Meryl in the game. So I'm not dissing him in any way.
Sure.
I just feel that David Hayter created, first of all, voiceover actors who are in games, we're not the ones who make the money. We're the ones that create the voice and make these characters come to life. But, the Metal Gear franchise, we all know, made millions and millions and millions of dollars. And, but I still feel as an actor that David Hayter is Snake, and he always will be. And if you ever watch this, David, you know that.
We'll make sure he sees it. Yeah, I think that the original Metal Gear sold 6 million copies. The one that you were a part of.
They made a lot of money.
So I don't know if I necessarily buy what they were saying. Like Yong pointed out, if they would have just said, "Hey, we need a different voice because this and this," that would have been fine. But to say they needed somebody who could do facial, David's an actor.
He's a great actor. That's not me.
So I don't know.
There's no way. I would love to do the mocap. I actually did one mocap game years ago. It was like a driving game. It was really fun, but. And maybe that's why. Maybe they think that Meryl, like I'm a little older now, but I'm in excellent shape.
Yeah, right.
Guns, look at the guns.
Big guns.
Got the guns going.
Got the guns.
Well, in the interest of time, Ronin, your next question. You want to get this one in here, Debbie? How many? How long do we got? Are we at a 5-minute warning yet?
10 more minutes.
Okay, perfect.
Okay.
I do want to see if we can figure out the mystery voice.
Oh, okay.
Do you want to do that? Do you want to do that? Yeah, take a question, Ronin.
This is my last question. Yeah, this is my last question anyway, so it's fine. Okay, so could you compare some of Meryl's personality traits to your own and perhaps Lady Tsunade's? I know you kind of went over this a little bit earlier, but if so, which ones would you say are very similar to your own in real life?
Well, I think Meryl is super sexy.
There you go, folks.
There we go.
Debi Mae West.
There you go.
And I think that's my final answer.
That's fine. That's perfectly fine.
That's a great answer.
That's a fantastic answer.
She's a well-rounded, she's a woman that really holds her own. And, like I said, I'm a very confident person, but I have a heart of, I have a very sensitive heart. And I think, I really think that Meryl's personality is, multicolored. And even though she's a badass, that the fact that she married Johnny says it all, right? Like they wanted to show her softer side. Sure. And I think that I have both sides working in balance in my life. I'm very strong like Meryl, and I'm also super soft.
Great.
Very cool.
That's fantastic. Thank you for that.
All right. So do you want me to play this clip?
Yeah.
All right. I'm going to put my headphones up here to my microphone so you can hear it.
Okay, let's see.
I'm going to play probably about half of it.
Oh, and then I'm going to read some lines with Yong, right?
Yes. All right. So, but after this, Yong's got a couple community questions before we get into that. So you got 10 minutes. This should only take about a minute. So here's this. This is Eva, who people suspect you of voicing from Metal Gear Solid 3.
There's something I wanted to ask you.
What?
the story between you and the boss?
She was like a mother, and my master.
And your lover?
It went deeper than that.
Deeper?
Half of me belongs to the boss.
Do you love her?
No, nothing like that.
Do you hate her?
Does it have to be one or the other? Love or hate?
Between a man and a woman? You bet.
For 10 years, we lived together.
Ooh,
That sounds like me.
Exactly. Exactly.
Yeah, it really does.
I gotta tell you guys, if I did that, I do not recall. They must
You would
have
recall. It would be a
gotten
whole.
drunk. And I'm really thrown off by the name because I don't know why they wouldn't. If it was me, I don't know why they wouldn't have used my name. But I gotta tell you honestly, like I'm sitting here in shock, going,
It definitely-
"That does
That's
sound like
me,
me.
yeah.
Did I do that?"
It definitely does. It's
Was
just-
that in the first game?
no, this
No,
was
the
Metal
third
Gear
one.
Solid 3, which,
Mhm.
I mean,
Yeah.
do you guys have the release year for that? I forget. I think it was
I
like,
want to say
Metal
2004.
She had a
Gear
lot of
Solid.
dialogue. I feel like you would remember if you played her.
oh yeah, you definitely.
Yeah.
You would
It was a
definitely
lot.
have remembered Eva.
Yeah, MGS3 I
You
believe
don't
was
know.
2004.
My memory is awful, and
It was-
I
Well,
don't
the people that were there, from what I understood, David said that a lot of the actors were actually in the studio together. So you definitely would have seen David. You definitely would have seen Jim Pittock, Heather Haley, stuff like that. It was
who's Heather Haley?
exactly.
Oh, there
She's a voice actor because
Yeah.
I get tweeted by her all the time. I didn't know she
Yeah.
was a voice actor.
She played
She's,
a character called Paramedic in Metal Gear Solid 3. She was
Oh,
one of
she
the
did?
support people for Snake in that
Well,
game.
I gotta tell you, that sounds like me. So either someone was trying to be me.
Okay, well, there we go. Actress playing Debi Mae West playing.
Says, "Oh, I heard you on a Snickers commercial." I'm like, "That wasn't me." But wow, that was trippy. I'm gonna look into that
Sure,
because
awesome.
I'll send you a longer clip that you can look at later. I know, like you said, you've got it somewhere to go.
will you
today.
send it to me? That'd be great.
Yeah. Would you like me to email it to you or just
Sure.
send it to- Okay, perfect. All right, Yong, you want to dive into some of your community questions before we get to the line read?
Yeah, sure. I've got a couple myself, and let's get these off quickly so we can.
Yeah,
let
I think
Debbie-
Ronin and myself are done with the main questions,
cool.
so it's all
Yeah,
you,
so
buddy.
you're good
All
to
right,
go.
so this one is from myself. This is something that people are just curious about. Which character in Metal Gear do you find personally most attractive? You as Debi Mae West.
Snake,
There we go. Good choice. There we go.
hands down. Even though he's like, God, in the last one he was so old, and
Yeah.
but Meryl still loves him. His voice is like crazy goodness. Love.
Yep, there we go. Great
Snake.
Okay, so Snake it is.
Let's see. What do you think? How do you think Meryl dealt with Snake's death after the events of MGS4? And what do you think that Meryl did for the rest of her life after she married Johnny?
Again, I have no idea.
Sure.
We rode off on a bison. I don't know.
There we go.
Johnny rode on a bison.
That's a fair
I
answer.
don't know. Yeah, I don't even remember that he died. Did he die? I don't remember.
Well, not in the game, but he was really old and decrepit, and he did eventually.
Right.
He will eventually die, but he lived like maybe a year. Or, I don't remember how much time, but he lived some time in peace, and then he probably died soon after MGS4. But they were close, so I'm assuming she was very.
I've never thought about it. Like I'm totally making it up for you.
Yeah, sure, no problem, no problem. All right, next. Yeah, it's totally
Flip strike
fine.
is frozen.
Yes, I know, I'm working on that. Thank you.
Oh, there you go.
There you go. So, right, my last question is, what are some future projects that you're involved in where maybe we can expect to see or hear from you?
I couldn't tell you. I've auditioned for a bunch of animation recently, and I just did an audition for a game. I signed an NDA for a game, but I have not been put on contract for anything as of yet, like that. But like I said, I work almost every day doing commercials and promos. There's probably a Naruto movie coming out again soon. Mm-hmm. We do those every couple of years, and a video game, and then that's all I know at the moment.
Gotcha. All right, now we're gonna dive
Hint,
into
hint.
yeah, we're gonna dive into community questions very quickly. Multiple users from YouTube asked, Were you surprised when they asked you to reprise your role of Meryl for MGS4 because it's been so long?
Hell no. I'm
Really?
Meryl. They could never. There's no way they could have. Well, maybe that girl that played that other voice might have been me, for all I know. No, I wasn't surprised. I was super happy because I was waiting for it, and I was more surprised that it took so long.
Gotcha. JackBrokeHeart from YouTube. In what ways? Actually, this is different. We asked a lot about in what ways are you like Meryl, and he asks, in what ways would you like to be like Meryl, and what are some aspects of her that maybe you want to have, or are you guys so alike that you already have everything about her?
I mean, I'm glad I'm not a fighter in real life, you know. Like
Right.
I'm not in Iraq or anything, like killing people.
Right.
So you know, that's a tough question because again, you know, it's my voice. I am Meryl. I mean, yeah, they drew a picture and they created lines, but it's my voice that gives her life, and so we're totally connected.
Gotcha. Good answer. Cliff Uchida from Facebook asks, who would you cast as Meryl in the upcoming Metal Gear Solid movie? Yourself.
Debi Mae West.
Yes.
Oh, you mean like the actor?
Yes.
I don't know. Yeah, I mean, whoever you think.
Are they making a movie?
They are.
I think so. Yeah, they are.
They're making a live action?
Yes.
Yeah.
God, that's a really hard question. So they're obviously they're gonna want someone younger. Who would it be? I don't know. Jennifer Lawrence.
Jennifer Lawrence. Oh, that's
yes,
a good one.
Jen Lawrence, and I can play her mom.
There we go. Meryl's mom. Explore her story.
Or maybe Meryl age in it, and not that I look like Jen Lawrence, but we sound alike, and I can do her voice very well.
Sure.
And yeah, that's my pick, Jen Lawrence.
There you go.
There you go.
That'd be awesome.
Yeah. All right. Well, we'll see if we can arrange
Who
that.
do you think?
I was thinking like she kind of reminds me of Scarlett Johansson, but
Yeah.
you know, like a little
With
maybe
Jennifer.
like tougher or like a little. I don't know.
Yeah.
Scarlett
I
has.
mean, I sound those girls. We, you know, all of our voices are in the same wheelhouse. I didn't know that they were making a live action. That's hot.
Yeah, they are.
I really don't think you're too old to play Meryl. Like, there's like Meryl. You look very young. So
Well, thank you.
you're welcome.
Those are secrets we don't tell.
Of course, of course.
Of course.
Metal Gear Fanboy 84 from YouTube asks, what was your favorite Metal Gear moment that you recall?
I mean, my favorite Metal Gear moment that I recall was in the last game, stepping in the studio and seeing David Hayter waiting there for me to act together.
Awesome.
Like it wasn't about the game and like the story of the game. It was actually just the thrill of laughing with him and making jokes and, you know, just like being able to, you know, catch up from all those years of not seeing each other. So that's my favorite Metal Gear moment, stepping in that studio again.
Awesome. Yvonne Kurniawan from YouTube asks, which other Metal Gear character would you play other than Meryl if you had the choice, if you know any of the other characters?
Who did Tasia Valenza play? Oh, the wolf?
Sniper Wolf.
Sniper
Wolf, maybe?
Yes.
Sniper Wolf, yeah. I'd play her. She's my good friend.
Yeah.
Really? That's awesome.
Yeah, we're gonna have lunch on Monday.
Oh, cool.
Oh, very
wow.
cool. We
Yeah,
just got done
interviewed her.
interviewing her.
Oh, you
Not
did?
so long ago. Yeah.
2 times.
She's awesome. Oh, twice?
Yes.
Yeah.
It's very,
For
very
Metal
cool.
Gear?
Well, once was more for Metal Gear and whatnot, and then myself and Ronin Yong couldn't make it. It was at E3. We interviewed her about the Batman Arkham games that she's in as Poison Ivy.
Oh, she plays Poison Ivy. That's awesome.
She does.
Yeah,
she does it
Oh,
very, very
cool.
good.
Pretty awesome. Pretty awesome.
NinjaWithStandards from YouTube. When did you find out that Solid Snake and MGS4 had aged drastically, and what was your reaction to that?
I found out when they put the script in front of me,
Okay.
and my reaction was
What?
just to play the role.
Good enough.
I'm not as invested in what happens in the game because I'm not playing it. So I'm more invested in just really kicking ass as an actor for you guys to have fun. So I don't, like I said, that's the best answers. Like, I'm not as invested in where it goes. I just have to really listen to what Chris Zimmerman tells me and find a way to embody the moments.
Awesome. Well, you did a fantastic job.
Definitely.
I do say so myself. Ryan King from YouTube, after you finished your work with MGS1, what was the moment you found out how big this Metal Gear thing would become? When did you find out? When did it hit you finally?
I think when they asked us to re-record the whole first game for PlayStation.
Right.
David Hayter let me know how much money the game had made.
Oh wow.
And we were all trying to hold out for more money.
It was like a strike,
And honestly, it was, if I had been more into like the celebrity part of it, I probably could have been a lot more involved, and I think actually I could have used that opportunity to sort of plummet my career forward maybe a little bit more, but I didn't choose to do that. But I was well aware of the popularity, and like I've been in airports before and like met young kids, and we just start talking, and I'm super social, so I remember these guys were going off to war, and I met them in an airport, and they found out it was Meryl, and they were like freaking out. I mean, awesome. Totally freaking out, and it was so sweet. So those are my favorite moments, like to meet real fans and people that really love this game. But yeah, I mean, David Hayter was the one that basically told me how much money they had made.
Okay, 2 more questions. Evan Commins from YouTube asks, who's your favorite voice actor that you've worked with in your entire career?
Gosh. I think Tara Strong is probably the most memorable because in 101 Dalmatians, she played the chicken and some other dog. I don't know. I just remember her chicken. I don't even remember the chicken's name, but she was so brilliant. So her, who else have I worked with?
David Hayter.
He's definitely one of my favorites. I think, I don't know why she always comes, like, I just really like her.
No, yeah, she's very talented, and just her range is incredible.
Her range is unbelievable.
I watched so many cartoons not knowing that it was the same actress doing all of these voices.
I gotta tell you, I just saw Inside Out, which I thought was genius.
Yeah.
Yes.
And I had no idea it was Amy Poehler until the end of the movie and the credits came on. And she was genius. I'd love to work with her.
Oh wow, that's great.
Fantastic.
Have you worked with her ever, or?
No, I'd love to.
Genius. Yeah, she's great. And finally, the 4th snake from YouTube asks, did you prefer playing Meryl in MGS1 or MGS4?
I mean, I was really more at the beginning of my career for MGS1. And so I was 2 different people, like I never in a million years imagined myself to become any sort of voiceover star or a successful voiceover actor. It was never in my trajectory of my life. So at that point, I think, it all was still so exciting and new and wondrous to me. And but coming back years later and just knowing what had gone down and just, being able to be so proud for David because of all the work that he was able to do and just, we'd grown older and wiser. And so I have to say they both were great. I was a lot greener in the beginning, so maybe I wasn't as present to what was going on. So I like being present to stuff. I took a wave today, and when I dropped in, I was like completely present, and I was like, so
that's awesome.
I like when I'm aware. So I would say Metal Gear the 4 because I was more aware of what my life was at that point.
Awesome. Well, and that concludes all of our questions. So
all right.
Puppies.
Hefe, come here. Good to meet him. He's cute. Come here.
We met David Hayter's cat, so we would love to meet your dog.
This is Hefe.
Hey,
Oh,
Faye, we
very
would like
cool.
to ask you some questions, if that's
Hefe
okay
the
with
boss.
Yeah.
you. Big
He's
Hefe,
very-
big boss.
Yeah, there you go. Big boss.
And
So
then
I
my
think-
cat is Jorge. Hefe and Jorge.
Oh, okay.
That's awesome.
So shall we? I got to
Yeah.
roll. So shall we do this little
Yes.
role play, Yong?
Yes.
Sure.
Let's
So
see
you
if I
have
can.
all the quotes in your Skype?
Ideal.
Okay, cool.
Yeah,
So are you ready?
I'm ready.
Okay. Is this the first time you'll be doing an interview with a Codec rookie?
Careful, I'm no rookie.
Awesome. There we go. Now we have the second part.
Don't worry, I'm disguised in this enemy uniform.
You won't be for long with the way you walk.
Ooh, what does that mean?
Oh, nothing.
I want a real wedding with flowers and a cake. It's been my dream since I was a little girl. Wait, what's wrong, Snake? Snake? Snake!
Dun, dun,
Amazing.
dun, dun, dun.
That's
Thank
great.
you so much, Debbie. That was amazing. There you have it, ladies and gentlemen, our interview with the Debi Mae West. Thank you so much for joining us, Debbie. Before we let you go, is there anything you'd like to say to the fans watching today?
Of course I do.
Yes.
I just want to say thank you. Like I feel so deeply blown away and blessed, and I wish I could, maybe I should come out and meet you all someplace at one of these arenas where I can sign autographs, because I do feel very loved by the fans, and I just feel I have so much gratitude for Meryl, and that I got to play her. So, and thanks for having me, you guys, so much.
You're so welcome.
No
We
problem.
definitely enjoyed it. Ronin, Yong, any last words for Miss Debbie?
Yeah, thank you so much for joining us. It was awesome to talk to you, and I'm still trying to get over how much you look like Meryl. So that's that's gonna be a thing for a long time. But yeah, thank you so much for all the awesome answers.
You guys have a wonderful day. I so appreciate meeting you.
Absolutely. You too. Thank you for joining us.
Bye. All right, ladies and gentlemen,
All right.
that was Debi Mae West. Please stay with us. We're going to run a quick commercial while I fix the cameras and reset the Skype call. We'll be right back. Don't go anywhere. The Codec Post Show is coming up next. All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Codec Post Show. I've got Yong. I've got Ronin. Guys, how did you enjoy Debbie's interview?
It was a great interview. A lot of cool insight.
Absolutely.
And she was just a champ, a great gal. And I love how much she is like Meryl. She's got that confidence about her, which is really funny. No, it was another great freaking interview.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's kind of unfortunate and kind of sad to hear her say that, Meryl really hasn't taken off in popularity as a character. Right. And it kind of, part of that may have had something to do with the lack of really big roles in games that she's had lately. So that was kind of disappointing to hear, because I feel like she definitely deserves a lot more when it comes to voice acting. She's fantastic and as her role as Meryl, for one, considering she was you consider her to be a lead role in the games. Yeah. But I think she deserves a lot more, and I would love to see her go to conventions. I'd be happy to get her autograph for sure.
Yeah. So real quick before I switched topics, Yong, I guess I was my wrist was on the mute.
Quick.
I know my wrist was on the mute. My wrist was on the mute button. I've already fixed it for you, so they should hear your half. But
it's
Yong,
cool.
we didn't get to hear what you said in the beginning about the interview. So if you could re-elaborate. What did you think of the interview?
I thought it was a great interview, of course, and I'm still trying to get over how much Debbie looks like Meryl, and how much she is like Meryl in many ways. That confidence about her with a bit of that vulnerability. It was kind of cool. It was kind of euphoric and interesting. Yeah.
So something we like to kind of compare on every show that we do is how much they actually sound like their character in the game.
Right,
so how close to Meryl did you think she sounded, Yong?
I'd say it was 75% there. She had to maybe do a little something with her voice to really hit the Meryl voice, but her normal voice is pretty close though.
Yeah,
but
I
not
think it's like
quite
an
there.
accent type thing. I think it's like when she does Meryl, she's got like a little draw on some of the letters and stuff.
I think
Something like
I
that.
think Meryl's voice is a little higher than her register.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
she goes a little higher, but she doesn't seem to struggle with that. I think it's just something she can do.
Yeah.
But her regular voice is slightly deeper than Meryl's.
Right. That's
But
what
you
she
can
was
still
saying,
hear
too.
it kind of, in her.
What were her words? A super sexy, scratchy voice.
Oh yeah,
like
super
that's-
sexy, badass, scratchy voice, and that's a great way to describe it.
Yeah, that's kind of how she sounded. I mean, like without the fact of her having to perhaps maybe strain her voice a little bit more to make it sound more raspy and scratchier as Meryl. But outside of that, yeah, I agree with what Yong is saying. She was like 75, 80% there in terms of her normal speaking voice for sure.
Definitely. So, to address the elephants stampeding around in the room, she said she's not Eva. At least she doesn't remember. I definitely think she would remember. It
Yeah,
was
me too.
Right,
quite a
right.
large part. But she also said that she does sound incredibly like her. And having heard her speaking to me, and playing this through my headphones, the Eva clip, I've got to agree. And she even says
Yeah.
some of some of the same lines, like "you bet." I think Meryl says that in one of the games. I can't remember which one,
yeah?
it was in 4 or 1, but that line stood out to me. As soon as I heard that, I was like, that does sound like Meryl.
Mm-hmm.
So what I'm curious, Yong, to hear your
Mm-hmm.
opinions on what you think of it, because I guess I wasn't aware. You weren't really aware that.
No. I
Nobody
thought she
knew
was real, Suzetta Minet. Until
Yeah.
you told me, I had no idea that was an alias.
So what do you
that's-
think? Now you're gonna try and track down some info for us?
I think the Patriots brainwashed Debi Mae West after she played the role, and so she has no idea, but she played the role. So it's the Patriots, guys, obviously.
Nanomachine, son.
Nanomachine, son. But in all honesty, I don't know, man. It really does sound like her when you I hadn't listened to her voice for a long time, Eva's voice, and
Right.
when you played the thing, I'm like, this sounds like her. What is happening? And then she was making all these weird faces, like, oh my god, that's me. While she was
Yeah.
listening to it, she was
Yeah.
like, wait a minute, what is happening? This is me. So, but I don't actually think it's her because she seems so surprised. Like, there's no way you're gonna forget playing a character like Eva, who played such a pivotal role
Yeah,
in.
tons of
Yeah.
dialogue.
Throughout the whole game, not just
Yeah.
in one part of the game, just in the beginning, middle, and end. Just she's always there. No way she'd forget. So it's definitely not her, I don't think. Unless she's playing us like fiddles, but I don't think she is. She seemed genuinely surprised. So the search is still on. The mystery is still abound. So I don't know. I really want to find out, and I'm really curious.
Yeah, I do
What are you
too.
thinking, Ronin? What's your opinion on it, buddy?
Just when we first asked her that question, when we first heard it from the response back from Christopher Randolph, the whole NDA thing, the fact that that's still going on
Yeah.
decades later after the game has come out, it blows me away. So I'm just like, what's going on there for the reason why this name is so secretive?
Yeah.
And why so many
Exactly.
years
Why?
later? Why so many years later, longer than the game is released? You think maybe something would have come out by now that maybe that would have given us hints about it?
Do you have
But the
an
person would have
opinion?
come out and said something?
Get an opinion on why they would do that? Like, what's the
Patriots
big deal?
Information Control.
Do you think it may be like a sibling of somebody that doesn't necessarily want to be a voice actor, but they just did it because they know somebody?
Yeah.
Like maybe David Hayter's niece did it or something.
It could totally be a case of a Lolly Lulelo incident. It could be the case of perhaps they're wanting to keep privacy. For example, I know there's some voice actors that may not want to be that well known with their voice work, maybe want to keep that information private. That could be a situation of that, but that's just it's just all just speculation on my part. It's hard to say.
What if Suzetta Minet is Hideo Kojima? Maybe he has a crazy voice range that we don't know about.
Did you write it?
Yeah.
Did you like it?
So I think I don't know why they would hide it, especially for this long. But just so there's no bullshit. I'm gonna show you guys the message. I'm not gonna put his number up here, but there's the message. That's him saying. I don't know if it's gonna be backwards for everybody.
No, it looks fine.
Okay.
Yeah, it looks fine.
It's reversed on my side. So that's his message, originally to me, and then I told him, whatever I said, and then you can see here. You can see it says it's likely an NDA, and that was all of the information that he could get, about it. So
Oh, in the stream it's backwards. I'll re-edit the video so it's, you know.
Okay.
fine,
Yeah, it's fine.
Well, hopefully the stream can read backwards. I know there's Facebook messages you can read backwards, but they're basically the gist of those messages. Just so you know, they're real. We did ask Christopher Randolph to do some investigating for us. Again, if you weren't here earlier, we asked Christopher Randolph to see if you could find out who Suzetta Minet was. And he says his reliable source, which I'm assuming is David Hayter, because me and him spoke about asking David before. But he says his reliable source says that's the name of the person, and that it's likely due to an NDA that is still in effect from when we say the game was in 05, 06.
Right. So, it is an alias.
Yeah.
Yeah. So,
yeah.
Crazy. Don't know why. But I'm making it my mission to find out who it is. I'm gonna tap every voice actor that I can. I'm gonna ask. I'm gonna talk to them about it. If I can't, if for some reason I can find out and I can share it with the audience, I will definitely do that. If not, maybe we can drop some hints and stuff for you guys to figure it out yourself. I don't know, but I'm really curious now.
Yeah.
Like, it sparked my interest, and I think if somebody would say why it's under NDA, I would be okay.
And I'm also thinking that Eva has to return for Phantom Pain. I mean, she plays a pivotal role with the Patriot and stuff like that, and that's going to be a big deal in Phantom Pain. And
maybe that's why.
So I don't know. Maybe she'll be revealed in Phantom Pain. Maybe that's the whole point or something. I don't know. I don't know what's the point of doing that, but it does certainly keep us curious.
I'd assume that if David Hayter knew, with his disconnect from Konami and Kojima now, I would assume he would have told us. So it must either not be him, or it must be something that he still cannot speak about due to.
Well, NDAs, can go on for quite a while. Like, there's certain things, like if he did a voice work for MGS3 and he participated in that and he signed an NDA saying you can't talk about, Suzetta Minet, maybe it's still in effect. Who knows?
Yeah.
Right? But I'd love to ask him, because see what he has to say now after all these years. I think he was the one who broke the news that it was an alias in the first place, right?
So,
I don't know.
Going based off his information from the interview that we had with him, he did voice work in the booth with most of the characters.
Right.
So, I don't know why we didn't ask him that.
I had no idea back then, so.
Me neither.
I think when we interviewed David, we didn't really talk about MGS3 a whole lot.
Didn't really bring it up at all.
So, I think I was, you know what? I really wish Quentin Flynn was in the game, because he would fucking tell us. he would
absolutely.
It was this guy. Maybe I'll send him to do some investigating.
Maybe that's why they didn't bring him back. They're like, guys, MGS3, we would love to have Raiden's, great grandfather or whatever, but I don't know if I think he'll tell everyone who this Suzetta Minet is, and we want to keep it a secret. So maybe we should work it, do a little workaround.
They brought him back as a mask. So. Anyways, to switch topics, because we got a couple things to talk about here in the post show. A lot of the fans of Codec and a lot of your community, Yong, asked us to give some thoughts and opinions on MGO. So I'd like to take 5 or 10 minutes and just talk a little bit about MGO. Starting with you, Yong, what are you expecting as far as content-wise from MGO? Like, are you expecting certain amount of maps, certain amount of weapons, certain amount of game modes? I know the other MGOs had quite a few different customization options, but some of them were very limited. Like you didn't have a lot of character customization, like with your features and stuff like that. And I went back and watched your original MGO trailer breakdown, which they haven't released anything really since then. So since then to now, have you come up with any new theories or any new expectations for MGO3?
The thing is, they have shown so little. It's hard for me to formulate any kind of theories or any kind of impressions on on how big this game is going to be. But they are pretty active on Twitter, so you guys should definitely follow the Metal Gear Online Twitter if you want to find out more about the game. They answer questions, and from those, I'm getting the feeling that Metal Gear Online is going to be pretty massive. And considering how big Phantom Pain is and the fact that Metal Gear Online is basically drawing from the template that Kojima has set up, right. I mean, if Phantom Pain by itself is huge, with all the weapons and all the nuances and the customization and stuff like that, I have to assume that Metal Gear Online 3, in terms of customization and weapons and maps, is going to be around. It's going to have a pretty big scale, in parallel to Phantom Pain, because,
right.
Why not? Why wouldn't it? Why would they reduce content from the single player for the multiplayer? But I don't know. They really need to talk more about this game. I feel like it's such a big element to Phantom Pain.
30 days.
Yeah, exactly. 30 days, and it comes with the game. It's free, and it's like they haven't made that point clear enough, or like people know that it's free, but they need to hype this up to know that, hey guys, guess what? You're getting this awesome, ginormous fucking big game called Phantom Pain, and you're getting this other thing called Metal Gear Online, and we just, we're not going to charge you for it. They need to make a big deal about that, because it's kind of freaking awesome. Not a lot of, not many companies do that.
Yeah, I feel like their marketing is kind of reversed. I mean, you look at Call of Duty, for example, and I know a lot of the fans here probably don't like Call of Duty, but it's a great example of they market mainly their multiplayer because that's what's so big. Yeah. And then they all have a single player. Whether you like it or not, the single players for Call of Duties are always there. They're always talked about as well, but there's always some highlights on the multiplayer. And I mean, this goes for any game nowadays, whether it be Battlefield, whether it be Splinter Cell's got its different types of multiplayer modes as well. Right. And I remember when Blacklist came out, that was one of the cool things that they were talking about. They're like, you already know you're getting the Splinter Cell story, but now you're getting Mercs versus this, you're getting co-op and this and all that kind of stuff. So I agree with you. I think with 30 days left, if they don't put something out here very, very soon for Gamescom and really give us something to look at, a lot of their kind of future audience might not be as excited as if they had some details on what might be going on. But Ronin, what are your thoughts on MGO 3? What's your expectations for it?
For me, because actually I had received an email a few days ago from a fan of the show, who I'll probably keep their name anonymous for now unless they specified otherwise, which I don't see here. But they did express a lot of concerns about MGO and what they plan on doing with that, and with the whole Kojima Productions being disbanded. Yeah. What they plan and how they plan on sustaining that as time goes on. Right. But one of the things that a lot of games, in terms of how gaming has changed over the past decade and a half, is that online multiplayer has become it's become a pretty big thing. Yeah. I wouldn't even say that's the game, because even then with Metal Gear Solid, yes, there are people that like the online aspect, MGO for example, but when people go to Metal Gear Solid, they're going to it for the story. Yeah. Right. So that's going to be the first and foremost thing they're going to show the most of as much as they possibly can. And I imagine at some point, and this is all just me speculating, I imagine that perhaps if they wanted to show some MGO, then perhaps they should show it at Gamescom, like you mentioned. That would be a great time to do it just before the game's release. But I think that it's because multiplayer has become such a massive thing in games these days, and that they have to keep expanding on it and becoming more and more ambitious with it. I do imagine that it will be maintained, of course, by a separate team, because that seems to be a pretty common thing in gaming these days. And I imagine there's going to be a lot of customability to it as well. I mean, they're giving it to you for free. That's always a good first step in anything, for example. And I do believe that that we're going to see a lot more coming out of that over the coming weeks, perhaps, up to the game's release. And it does seem a little weird, like you did the Call of Duty comparison, but I mean, at the end of the day, people go to Call of Duty for the multiplayer. Right. At the end of the day. Well, like when they show new Call of Duty reveals. Back in the day when like Call of Duty 2 and stuff like that, they showed a lot of single player footage, stuff like that. Yeah. But these days, because the multiplayer aspect of those games is such a big thing and where the community goes, usually when they show a new Call of Duty, that's the first thing they show is multiplayer. And in Metal Gear's case, I feel like they're focusing on the single player, but right now I'd rather them not show any more single player footage.
They've shown enough.
And just exactly. And just focus on the multiplayer stuff. That way we can just, get what we want, get hyped about it. When the game comes out, we'll have a blast on top of that. But yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, and like you said, I mean, multiplayer is such a big deal these days that if you want to sell your game, you need to make this multiplayer look awesome. And the trailer is awesome, don't get me wrong, but I think we need to see a match. We need to see how a real live match would would look like, so people get an idea for how.
Like Rainbow Six has a whole like several videos of entire
right,
matches.
right.
Granted,
The Siege,
granted,
Rainbow
they're
Six Siege.
They're super scripted, but that's okay.
Yeah.
You still see the general idea.
Right, and people get to play it, and I think that's what they need to do. Show actual footage of how great this Metal Gear Online thing can be, and you'll also attract the multiplayer audience who, you know, because there is like an audience that is just sort of multiplayer centered, and they enjoy more multiplayer and competitive than, I guess, sitting down and, you know, playing through a story. So, but if you can appeal to both, you get more sales and you get more hype, and so that's my belief on that.
Yeah, I agree completely.
Well, here is my thoughts, and my thoughts on it are kind of double-edged, and they're kind of more singular, and I'd like to hear y'all's opinions on it afterwards. But the reason I call my opinion double-edged is because it can go one of two, either a great way or a terrible way. With MGO announced, obviously that means that there is going to be a certain number of maps and certain number of weapons and things like that, derivative from the single player, I'm assuming. The different locations, just like in MGO, the original ones you played in different locations around the game that you saw. So for my concern is if there's only these one or two maps, and they're just these one or two big maps, we're not going to have a lot of variation in level. And if they're drawing from the single player, we might not have as many customizable options as we think we have. Like I know in Metal Gear Solid 4, the weapon customization system was cool for its time. But I mean, nowadays where you can add tons of different things to weapons. I mean, you take a game like Payday 2, for example, where you've got, you know, 50, 60 weapons, and each one has interchangeable parts and barrels and attachments and all that kind of stuff. Taking that stuff from the single player could definitely do a lot of good, or it could do a lot of harm if it's like a Call of Duty system where you got to progress all of these different levels to unlock all of this different stuff. Like Call of Duty is just too flooded. I keep using that as an example because it's one of the, you know, premier multiplayer games.
Right.
But I also feel on the good side is if you can see certain locations in the game and you can play, and there's more, obviously if there's more than just one or two of these maps, you can see varied locations. Yong mentioned in his analysis video, there should be dynamic weather. There's not going to be a day and night cycle because they said the matches aren't long enough. But to have that dynamic weather, if we see more than just, you know, dust storms and rain, maybe there's like some snow or some different you know, types of things that maybe affect the environment. Like you see the dust storms make it incredibly hard to see. Maybe the rain leaves, you know, footprints if you're trying to do one of these infiltration modes. There's a lot of good things that they can do if they do it. And I'm scared of the balance because, like you guys have said, we haven't seen a whole lot. So we could either get a decently fun MGO with just a few different variations of maps, a couple different customization options for weapons. When I say a couple, obviously I know there's going to be some, but I mean not as much as we would expect from, you know, this day and age. It could be that, or it could be this crazy thing that we just like the tip of the iceberg almost, where we've only seen a fraction of the stuff. And that's what I'm hoping for. I'm hoping when we get MGO, we're going to see more game modes than all of the other MGOs have had, because I got really bored really quickly with the game modes there. There wasn't a lot of variation to the game modes. It was really just a kill fest, and the points really didn't matter. Yong pointed out that maybe the Fultoning systems that they have now could definitely influence that kind of stuff. That's true. I'm just worried because we haven't seen a whole lot. So what do you guys think?
I completely agree. We need to see more. That's all. Because at this point, it's a big question mark. How many maps? How many weapons? How many customization features? How many of this? How many of that? But I don't know. I have a really good feeling about this one. You know, when I talked to some folks over at Konami at E3 2015, they said, you know, we are learning from our mistakes from the previous Metal Gear Onlines, where it wasn't very accessible because of just how complex the controls were. And now with, you know, Ground Zeroes and Phantom Pain, the controls have been streamlined quite a bit. I mean, any person who plays a decent amount of FPSs can get the hang of this control scheme. It's you know, aim and shoot, L1, R1, or L2, R2. And there's some sneaking aspects like crouching and going prone and diving and a bunch of other things. But for the most part,
Which I appreciate.
Yeah, exactly. You can pick this up and get the hang of it pretty quickly, whereas MGS4, it would take a lot of time. So I think they need to advertise that, though. Let the people know just how accessible this game is and how, if it is big, how big this thing is. And I think it's going to be big. I don't think this is just some little extra mode that they decided to just make up at the last minute. I think it's something, they're trying to make this to be a big deal, and they need to, capitalize on that and let people know, hey, look how big of a deal this is.
Exactly.
And Gamescom, I think it's their last chance to do that. But I haven't heard anything about them showing any Metal Gear Online at Gamescom. I know Kojima's going to show off a mother-based gameplay demo. Yeah. He's gonna. I think he's going to show that off during Gamescom, and that's really cool. But where's Metal Gear Online? This big, big part of the game. Is there some trouble in development that's not allowing them to show as much gameplay as they would want to, or is it just something to do with scheduling? I don't know, but I would think they would have shown a lot more by now. I'm not trying to diss anyone. I'm just saying, we're so excited about this that we want to see more. So, hype us up and show us some more.
Yeah, I think that's really important. Not just for hype, but just to have some knowledge about what we're buying. Yeah. So you're on the same page there, Ronin?
Absolutely, 100%.
All right. Well, I've got one more comparison before we switch topics. I think really, if we wanted to put it in maybe a game that has a story that also has a successful multiplayer, you could look at something like Halo. Halo has quite some people will bash it because it's Halo and they only think of the multiplayer, but Halo has quite a diverse.
Oh, dude, I used to play Halo back in the day competitively as well.
Yeah.
Oh wow.
So, I actually just went out and I got all of the Halos because I'm trying to get Steve Downs to come on the show, who is the Master Chief.
Yes.
So I wanted to, familiarize myself with the story, which I never really paid attention to. I was more of a multiplayer guy as well. But Halo's got a very complex and deep story that I really wasn't aware of. And when I was playing it, I was like, Metal Gear could definitely take some notes from how they advertise this, because obviously, for people that love the franchise, they know about the story, but the multiplayer is being hyped right now for Halo 5 Guardians. And I think, like we've kind of just repeating ourselves here, which is why this will be the last topic that I talk about on it. But I feel like there's just not, like, if I had to go out and buy the Phantom Pain right now and I didn't know about the story, I wasn't a big Metal Gear fan, I would look for the multiplayer stuff. And if I can only find one gameplay demo that's how long is it? Like
the trailer, it's like 3 minutes.
3 minutes?
Yeah, it's really not that long.
Jeez.
Yeah, a 3 minute trailer and some tweets. That's not bringing the audience that that should be there. As I've said in multiple past episodes of the Codec, I want as many people to play this game as possible, and hopefully our show can help ease some concerns for anybody that's new to the franchise of Metal Gear, and they're not really sure what they're going to be getting. You will get a great story, no doubt about that. And according to Metal Gear Online, they're doing some things that they just can't talk about right now. So hopefully we will all enjoy that, and I hope that addresses the fans' questions about our concerns and stuff about Metal Gear.
Yeah.
So to wrap up, guys, let's do a quick rundown of what's going on with everybody, and then we can get out of here, because we had a nice long interview and I guess a 23-minute post show now. So, Ronin, what's in the works for you, man? You got Ninja Stars not included this week?
Yeah, I'm trying to get the previous episode posted up on YouTube, of course, with the release of Windows 10. Hey. I ran into a few technical issues with my editing software.
Who are you telling? I can't even start my recording software. I use Action, and I emailed the developers, and they're like, "What's wrong?" And I'm like, "Windows 10 is wrong. What? Help me." So what's going on with the podcast, man?
Yeah, I finally got a chance to get everything updated and up and running, so I'll probably have that edited and posted by tomorrow morning. So for those of you who missed out on episode 59 last week, don't worry, it's still coming. Don't freak out and don't kill me.
Episode 59.
Yeah.
Congratulations, man.
Thank you.
This is gonna be 60 this
weekend. Yeah.
Wow, that's awesome. I can't wait. I'm super excited. Proud of you, man. Congratulations on 60 episodes.
Really appreciate that. And yeah, we've been growing since then, which is pretty awesome. I'm glad the people that have stuck with us all this time continue to stick with us through and through. And to all the new people that are joining us that just stumbled upon the podcast, welcome and thank you for the support.
All right. Other than that, what do you have going on, man? Anything big and upcoming for you?
I do. I don't know if I want to mention this now. I kind of want to save this, but I do have some interviews coming up.
Very
Ninja
cool.
Stars not included. Some game developer interviews coming up that I worked out with a couple of developers. So look forward to that, guys. There's some pretty big indie games, at least on PlayStation 4, that's coming up pretty soon that I've got some developers lined up for.
That's
so
awesome,
Very nice.
man.
stay tuned for that.
I love how you show these indies some love, man. You're like one of the only people on the Hitbox that really dive hard into these indie games, like we spoke about in the pre-show with Dungeon Souls and stuff. So I'm glad you're getting to do that. We try to bring developers on here, but we're so booked with voice actors right now. When it's my turn, I got a lot of info coming up. But anything else from you?
Oh no, that's it, man. I appreciate everybody stopping by today. You know, it's I love this interview. I think Debbie was fantastic. She offered a lot of great insight. Like I said earlier, I just wish she had a lot more voice work out there.
Yeah, so do I.
Yeah, but you know, as always, appreciate you guys tuning in. I will see you next time. You guys keep it classy, keep it sharp. Don't do anything I wouldn't do, and I'll see you on the next episode.
Perfect. Yong, what's up with you, man? I know last time we talked, we asked you about some analysis. Is that still coming?
Yeah, I'm still doing the gameplay analysis, and it's a lot of footage to analyze.
Yeah.
And I mean, most of this we know so much about gameplay already that there isn't. This is probably not going to be nearly as long as the E3 2015 trailer analysis.
Right.
It's mostly going to be about the iDroid and the new stuff there. Yeah, exactly, and a few of the new gameplay stuff. But apart from that, I mean, it should be a pretty straightforward analysis. It's just there's so much footage to analyze, and alongside that, there's also a bunch of other stuff that's coming up. There's Jeux Vidéo released, which is a French magazine outlet, Jeux Vidéo magazine. They released an issue dedicated to MGS5, so I'm getting that translated, and I'm gonna do a news update on that. Probably tomorrow, so you guys will get some new opinions and thoughts on that. And there's a lot of cool stuff coming up that I cannot talk about. Suffice to say that there's a lot of cool Metal Gear related stuff that's happening over the coming month leading up to the release, and I'm gonna play a part in that, and it's gonna be great. So look forward to that. I can't talk about it, but just it's gonna be really cool. So I'll let you guys know when I can talk about it.
Awesome.
All right. So for me, obviously, those of you who keep up with us now on our Twitter, I know we just hit 400 followers during the show. So thank you for 400 Twitter followers. I've only had it up for like a week and a half now. So I definitely appreciate all the support that we're getting there. The more that you guys follow us and help us out on these social medias, the easier it is to get these bigger guests on here that they want to know that when they come on, they're going to be in front of people and they can talk about their projects and all of that kind of stuff. So the more support we get from you guys, the better. And it goes right into turn. I asked everybody on Twitter to retweet a certain tweet that I put out, and they did. And now we have Donna Burke wanting to come on the show. So I put a message out. I was like, hey, Donna Burke, would you like to come on the show? And I was like, retweet this. And they did. And she was like, yes, of course. So the power of you guys really helps drive the show. So definitely thank you so much for that. If you want to follow us, the Codec on Twitter, it is at @the_Codec. Should be right there below me. And then obviously you can follow the two co-hosts as well. And then the Twitter also gives us some I guess content for these post shows. It was Twitter that got me thinking that the fans wanted some our MGO opinions. So we do listen. Somebody also tweeted that they wanted the show as a podcast, and now if you look at the chat, we have a podcast version of the show up where you can download the show or listen to it. It will be on iTunes soon. I submitted an application for that the other day, so you will be able to get this in an MP3 format, maybe listen to it on the go if you don't have the bandwidth and stuff like. I tend to forget that. Like I've used like 2.5 terabytes of bandwidth already this month. Well, I know it's the end of the month, but
right.
I use that about a month. Every month I use about 1.5 to 2 terabytes, and I forget that people might not have the ability to do that. They might, they might not be able to watch these shows in 1080p on YouTube all the time. So the podcast version is there. It's very small. It's compressed. and I'm working very hard on getting all of them up. There's a lot. We've done a lot of interviews.
Yeah.
And I was somebody mentioned that yesterday on YouTube. They were like, your show's doing really good, blah 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 blah. And I was like, yeah, you know what? We've only been here since March. March was our first interview, and there was a couple times where we had a week lapse in between. But for the most part, we've had interviews every single week. So it seems like we've been doing this a long time, but in fact, we're just very consistent with what we're doing. So definitely, if you have quality concerns or anything like that, we're definitely working on it. The show is growing very, very well, and I definitely have all of you guys to thank, and Yong and Ronin for their support on it. So that's pretty much it for me. Other than that, we do have some guests coming up. I'm going to update the bio of the stream. I'm going to update the support links. I'm going to update the guests that are coming on the show. I'm going to let Yong announce who we have possibly coming up. Do you want to talk about that?
Not yet, because because I don't know which one you're referring to. Are you referring to the 2, or are you referring?
Yes.
I can't. We wanna. Yeah, they wanna wait until it's closer to the date before we talk about it. So not yet.
Right.
Yeah.
So we're gonna hold off on that, but we do have some other guests. We have Guy Seehee coming on next week, who is James Sunderland, which brings me right back to Donna Burke, who will be coming on the show. I don't have a date for her yet, but did you guys know that she was in Silent Hill also?
Wait, who?
Donna Burke.
She was in Silent
Donna
Hill?
Burke?
Yes, she was the crazy lady from Silent Hill 2, the Angela, the girl that shows up with the knights.
Yes.
Donna Burke, as in the
Oh,
singer
dude.
of Sins of the Father.
Yes, she was that
What?
character, and she's the. Did any of you guys play Silent Hill 3? I love Silent Hill, so I've played.
Yeah,
them all.
I
yeah.
haven't
I
played.
played,
She's
yeah.
the crazy priest lady.
Oh, dude, I had no idea.
The
Holy
crazy
crap.
one that stabs the dude in the back with the glasses.
Dude.
Yeah, I had
Okay.
no idea. But
Holy
yeah,
hell.
she's
Yeah, I had no
those-
idea.
she's
I didn't
those
know she
two-
was a voice actress at all, except for the
Yeah.
iDroid.
Right.
I had no idea.
Wow.
I thought she was.
Wow.
I thought she was just a singer that
Yeah, me
they
too.
were like, you should do the iDroid because you have a cool voice. But no, apparently she's in those 2 games. I checked them out. They're actually pretty good performances from the time that they were recorded. You got to remember these are old as hell.
Yeah.
And she actually played Angela in the remake of the HD version.
That
Really?
makes sense.
Wow.
Yeah.
So we'll have Donna Burke coming on. We've got Guy Seehee coming on as well. Do we want to talk about the composer that we
Yeah,
may have?
sure.
Okay. Yeah, because that's next week.
Yeah.
We confirm that for the 5th?
Yeah. Mhm.
Okay. Well,
Okay,
there
cool.
you go. Confirming stuff live on the air. So we do have you guys are going to get 2 codecs next week. So mark this in your calendars on the 5th, which is Wednesday of this, I believe it's this coming up weekend or week. We're going to have Rika Muranaka come on our show, talk to us about her work in the Metal Gear series. She also did music for Silent Hill and Castlevania.
Yeah.
So we're going to have her come on to talk about her experiences. We've got some cool, I'm not going to reveal the details, but we have some cool exclusive content that we're working on acquiring that you Metal Gear fans will absolutely love. So stay tuned for that. You're going to have, like I said, 2 episodes, one on the 5th and then Guy Seehee on the 7th. So my lovely co-hosts here, we're going to have a busy week.
Oh yeah.
After that, we have Heather Haley, who apparently, I guess, messages Debi Mae West on Twitter. But yes, we're going to have Paramedic herself coming on the 14th, and then we've got some other guests lined up for you guys, and I hope you're excited. I will not drag out this episode any longer. Thank you guys so much for watching. Stay tuned for all of that info. Please follow us down low at the Codec. Check out the podcast. Check us out on Facebook. We really... if you use Facebook, which I don't know a whole lot of people that do use Facebook anymore, but if you do, we do have a Facebook up now, and some support on there would be amazing. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I can't wait to see you guys early next week on Wednesday when we talk to Rika Muranaka. I hope I'm pronouncing her name right. Yong.
Yeah, well, thank you for tuning in, folks. Another great interview, and we have so much content lined up for you guys. You guys should definitely follow the Codec in all social media aspects and, the hitbox itself because it's worth it. So with that, I would like to end this interview / Codec episode. Thank you for tuning in. I'll see you guys next time. Yong out.